Now, much to Christopher and Victoria's surprise, Michael was standing there right outside the bathroom, and he didn't look panicked. He didn't look scared. In fact, Michael was grinning. The two young children couldn't make sense of the situation. They were confused. Of course they were just small children. But somehow, they knew that their brother had betrayed them. Michael pulled a huge camo hunting knife from behind his back, stepped forward, backing his little brother and sister into a corner, and brutally stabbed them both over and over again until they'd both gone limp. What a cruel, nasty, evil little bastard to betray them like that. Christopher tried to save Michael's fucking life. He knew it was dangerous to open that door. He just had no idea that Michael was the danger. And Robert, who was standing just outside the bathroom at this point, said that he could hear the sound of the knife hitting bone, and he hated that sound. But Robert wasn't convinced that Michael had finished the job, so he stepped forward, raised his knife, and both children, who were still clinging together, let out high-pitched screams as he plunged it deep into both Christopher's and Victoria's tiny chests, and eventually their screams stopped. In fact, Robert said he was pretty sure the knife went straight through, because they were both just so small. Oh, fucking evil cunt. Now, 12-year-old Daniel Bever had been woken up by the screams, and he came out of his bedroom to see what was going on. He saw his own mother on the floor in the hallway bleeding out, and noticed his brother's mobile phone on the side, so he grabbed the phone and made a run for it to his father's office. And that's when Daniel made that 911 call as he cowered on the floor in the corner of the room. And outside the office door, Daniel could hear Michael begging and pleading with him to let him in, because Robert had lost his mind. And Daniel could hear Michael screaming, "Robert, what are you doing? What are you doing?" Now, Daniel, he was terrified, obviously. He was just a child, but he was already on the phone to the 911 operator and didn't want his brother to get hurt, so he unlocked the door to let his brother in. Now, Daniel opened the door and saw Michael standing there. And once again, Michael didn't look panicked. He didn't look scared. Michael just grinned that grin as he shouted, "Here he is," at which point, knife-wielding Robert appeared behind him. And poor little Daniel realised in that moment that he had been betrayed. In fact, his whole family had been betrayed in just the most tragic, brutal fashion. Daniel backed up towards the far corner of the room, the operator still on the phone on the other end, listening to everything. Michael, the little bastard, took the phone out of Daniel's hand and smashed it to the ground. And then he turned to Robert and said, "He's all yours." And with a sinister smirk across his face, Robert stepped into Daniel's space and grabbed him by the back of his shirt. And poor little Daniel was truly terrified. And in one last-ditch attempt to spare his own life, Daniel looked up at his big brother and said with a quivering voice, "What are you doing? I'm with you." And Robert just chuckled, laughing off the suggestion by saying, "I'm not going to give you a knife." He pushed his little brother by the back of his neck so he was bent over, and then he plunged the 15-inch hunting knife up and deep into Daniel's abdomen before throwing Daniel to the floor.